Hello there, it's Josh here from Racing to Profit. I hope you can hear me. You won't be able to see me, mainly so there's more space on the screen and you can see fully what's in front of you. This is hopefully going to be the first of a kind of weekly video or two looking ahead to the big Saturday handicap. I'm just going to start with one this week and see how it goes. The main aim really isn't to express my own opinions, which on this particular race, as I record this at 11:30 Friday morning, are not yet fully formed. It's very much a video aimed at trying to help you and give some information, ideas, the odd opinion, but using some of the tools, or using the tools I use to analyse races, and to go through various different aspects of said race in a way that will allow you, hopefully, to use that kind of information and what I talk about in your own punting and your own deliberations with the race in front of you. Yeah, very much with the idea of helping you solve the puzzle yourself, but also talk about different things and maybe look at various different other stats and indicators that may be applicable to either other races on the day or different points that you may wish to note down for future reference. So yeah, this is very much about trying to look at a race in a way which is useful for all of us, without just focusing on my tips and opinions, which, as I talk to you, I'm not in the best of form, so it's probably a good job I don't talk about such things. But a massive part of what I do on the blog, and have always done, is to try and take us all on some kind of learning journey, and an enjoyable journey where we're looking at various different things and highlighting various different research ideas, discussions, which help us all improve and attack that day's racing and ongoing. So with that in mind, I've never really recorded a video in this way as such. We shall see if it's useful. I'll try and keep it as snappy as I can, but without cutting too many corners. So I'm going to look at the Gold Cup from Ayr on Saturday. I suppose the first thing when looking at any race is conditions. If I just jump over, this is the BHA BritishHorseRacing.com site, and you can obviously find the different tracks and the different reports from the clerks and the going if they update it. Now this is as of Friday, 7:20 a.m, as you can see there. The thing to say about this particular race this week, having watched the racing yesterday, if you look at the times from day one of Ayr's Gold Cup meeting, they're kind of 6 to 13 seconds above standard, which suggests proper soft, proper hard work. The going description hasn't changed from yesterday, it's exactly the same. The going stick on Thursday was 6.8, 6.9 here, so dried out slightly. I'm not sure if Ayr is on clay. It maybe is. I thought they had new drainage put in, but as someone pointed out to me on Twitter, the number of meetings they've had cancelled due to waterlogging obviously does suggest this place doesn't drain very well. Now, of course, you get some punters and various different people dispute the idea of the going being important at all, and I'm not going to touch on that today, but I think knowing whether Ayr is riding good to firm or very soft should be useful to some degree, at least, when looking at this race and other meetings, and other races on the day, I should say. So what we assume the conditions are is tricky, because it doesn't seem to be drying out that much. There doesn't seem to be much wind. There's a bit of sun. I can't think there's going to be any firm in the going come Saturday. Like I said, I'm recording this Friday morning. They've yet to race on Friday. I will attempt, I will look at the results of the first couple of races maybe and see what the times are suggesting, and whether they're still way below standard or whether it is actually drying out. So it could be good ground come Saturday. Is it going to be good to soft? Is it going to be good to soft? Soft? Do I assume it's soft? So already, I suppose, it's making this particular race even more of a puzzle. But the idea here, of course, is that we enjoy solving the puzzle, and that's a key element of, trying to get it right, which hasn't happened too often. But that's part of the enjoyment for me, in particular in these very competitive handicaps, which I've tried to leave them alone, but I just can't, personally, because I just enjoy the challenge too much. And when you are right, it is quite the excitement and quite the joy. Frustrating when you're wrong, of course, but that's part of the fun. So with that idea of trying to solve the puzzle, what I have in front of me, as with many previous videos, is the excellent Gigi's Gold, of which there's a link below this video, as always, where you can take a 30-day trial for £1. But even if you don't want to do that, and I know quite a few of you have done so, there's another link below also where you can register a free account. No card details, no payment details needed, and every single day there are races in focus where you get access to this, well, I think industry-leading race cards, and also other tools each day. So if you have any ambition or any interest, I suppose, in furthering your own knowledge, or you enjoy trying to solve the puzzle yourself or pick out your own horses, I have no idea why you wouldn't get a free account, because it will help your punting and it makes the racing post look rather woeful, which quite frankly its race cards are, but that's a debate for another day. What we have here then is the race card. I'm going to talk through various different things. I've touched on the race conditions. I'm ticking around to 6 minutes. The first thing, this is a handicap. So I suppose trying to identify which horses are well handicapped is important. Thankfully, there's a kind of easy way to do this. If I click the Instant Expert tab, which many Gigi's Gold users would say is the kind of their #1 main thing they use, and what you can see here is this dashboard where I can change various different things, and you can see the horse's record. At the moment I've got wins here, against all of these different factors: the going class, course distance, field size, which is important in these big sprint handicaps. I'll touch on that quickly. Obviously some horses, I mean, you need to be brave in a big field. You often need to battle, you often need to kind of barge past horses, go through gaps. You obviously also need to sustain a gallop, and these races do suit those horses who are strong travellers, who like to be held up behind runners and actually need a fast pace to settle off and therefore to show their best and to conserve energy. And some horses actually just really like the hustle and bustle and like running through horses and are competitive in that sense, and they like a fight. That's why you'll see some horses do much better in big fields and sustained pace than you will in smaller fields. An example from this season, I suppose, would be a Sylvester, if you wanted to watch his Ascot run and the way he settles off a strong pace and comes through horses. That would be an example. Stone of Destiny, who lines up again here, that I'll touch on actually, would be another from Doncaster last week. So you can assess which horses are proven in conditions. Now, the one thing I do want to say is this is a 3-year-old plus handicap, so as always you are looking to see if there are any unexposed 3-year-olds, and this time there's only one. One 3-year-old. Whether or not they're well handicapped is a different question, but I suppose you generally assume there may be more to come one day. And they will progress at some point. They might have done their progressing for this season and need to grow again or strengthen over the winter or down season or whatever. But there's only one 3-year-old in this, which is kind of a good thing, I suppose. It in effect makes it a kind of 4-year-old plus handicap. Very much who handles the conditions best on the day, who's handicapped to do so, and can win from their current mark. The other thing, of course, is a lot of horses, especially sprinters, can get better with age. You saw Caspian Prince, what a horse, at Yarmouth, break the course record age 11. That performance was up there with some of his from a few years ago. Now, that's not to say he's getting better at 11, but he's holding his form. But some of these certainly, as they get to age 4, 5, even 6, some of them can get better with age. So that's something to bear in mind when considering handicap marks and what they've achieved in the past. And I say that with this particular race in focus, because if I click this Instant Expert again and just focus down this right-hand side here, we've got today's official rating, and we've got their last official rating. Now that's in all races. You can get the odd horse has won kind of class 1, a listed or a group race, off said mark, and this mark will be comparison to that last winning official rating. All of these, I think, are going to be their handicap. So you've got their last winning handicap rating down here. You've got the difference. So Gulliver, for example, is £5 above his last winning rating. This does not take account of jockeys' claims, so obviously you can go and have a look at what jockeys are claiming and whether that might help a particular horse. Of course, jockeys are generally claiming for a reason, and that's because they're learning their trade, they're getting more experience, and I don't look at a jockey thinking, oh, it's £5 off. Therefore, he's if he was £5 above his last winning mark, and now they've got a jockey taking off 5, he's suddenly on his last winning mark and therefore could go better. The jockey generally claims for a reason, but again, it's something to consider and put into the mix, and people will have different views on such things and such claiming jockeys. So you can go all the way down here, and those that have a minus number are those that are above their last winning mark. So William Haggis's horse here, Nahar, £6 above his last winning mark. So all of these have something to prove on that sense, and there's actually not many that are below their last winning mark. You might want to look at those that are closer to their last winning mark, within £2 or £3 maybe. That's a point you could look at. You've got Karopik here, who doesn't have last winning mark. That's because if you go and look at him, I mean, he's 80 to 1 and been off the track 1,000+ days, so hopefully he's not going to cause a big shock, surely. But all his form is in group races, actually, so that's something different to look at. But looking at this, it's very much then a question of, remember, this is their last winning mark. So I should say, that's not to say any of these handicappers haven't won from above this mark before. So you still might, I would advise going through every single horse, and that's not something I'm going to do in this video, but we'll be doing this afternoon while I ponder what to put forward in the race. This is giving you an idea of who's well handicapped. Now, if I went back to the Doncaster race, actually, let me just do that now. I'll do it live. If I just go back to the Portland handicap, and this was an error really. If I just go onto the race card at the time, click on the instant expert here, if you look down here, you can see, so Dan Zeno was £2 above his last winning mark. He came second. Look at all of these that are above. Stone of Destiny, £4 below his last winning mark. You can start to create a short list, I suppose, and just focus on those handicappers that are below their last winning mark. Especially, like I said, these 3-year-old pluses, you do have to keep an eye on the 3-year-olds. Even more if this was a 4-year-old plus handicap, and that's applicable to your daily punting. Focusing on 4-year-old plus handicaps on the flat as a way to shortlist or focus isn't necessarily a bad thing. A Moment of Madness, £8 below. Rock on Bailey's 10. Royal Residence 2. So there's only a handful that are below their last winning mark, and that, obviously I'm saying this with the hindsight, and I wasn't clever enough at the time to apply such thinking. Stone of Destiny was actually on my shortlist of 5 in my stats and trends, which I'll get onto in a moment as well. You can see how that could be useful in helping to shortlist and then to look at a horse more closely. So that's an example of that. A better example in the race, I suppose, given how many are above their last winning marks. Now, something obviously is going to win this. And it might not necessarily, given the number that are above their last winning marks, be one that on paper at least looks well handicapped. Like I said, that's when their ability to handle conditions, this type of race, jockeyship may become more important. We could well have the case here that, can we imagine anything kind of blowing this field away? Is it going to be a bunch finish? Is it going to be tight? Who knows? We shall see. But like I said, you can then go through each horse because some of these will be very close to their last winning mark. There's other things we can look at, which I'll touch on in a moment. You've then got race conditions. Now, the point with these videos, of course, is that you can pause them at any point you wish with your notepad and, note anything down you wish. Now, if I assume this is good to soft through to soft, let's just do that. Actually, let's just assume it's going to be soft because the times were suggesting it's soft. You've got all form here. You can filter this by any way you want, really. If I go handicap, flat handicaps, useful, obviously. If I look at those with winning, so we're winning handicap form on soft, you can see the horses here: Gulliver, Kinran, Major Jumbo. I suppose looking at a horse that's done it more than once can be useful. Air Raid, Young Fire, Cold Stare. Like I said, I will look personally at the times of the races and how they compare to standard from some of the early ones this afternoon while I'm deliberating, because that is going to be important, I think. But yesterday's time suggested it was soft. So you can look at that, and you can look at winning form in the class. Obviously, amber's more positive and green's even more positive, and red can be a negative, but you're looking at horses that might stand out. And like I said, you can pause, you can look at what you want. My idea in these videos isn't to draw you to certain horses or to cloud your own judgment. Very much you'll have different things that you like to consider, but that's on soft. If I just go good to soft through to soft, that's the great thing. Another great thing with GDs and why these race cards stand out is you can just change the going like that and it changes the form here. We've got class 2s. I could put that to class 1, so suddenly the form is looking at those that have form in class 1, and that's not a bad thing to do either. These are class 1 handicaps, of which there aren't many. If I just go all flat races in class 1s, Major Jumbo and Mr. Lupton are the 2 class 1 winners in the race, indicating they've got a touch of class. Maybe you can see those that have won and placed. I've just clicked the place tab there. You can see the various different horses that have placed in class 1s, which means they may have a touch of class. It may have been from their younger days in whatever types of races. So again, that's something to worth considering. If I just go back to handicaps and class 2 handicaps, obviously there's different levels of class 2s. The prize money is a bit different this year, which affects things. But you've got those kind of heritage handicap class 2s, which are different. You know, there's kind of 2 bands of class 2s, but again, this just gives you an idea of who's proven in the class, who's got wins, who's a multiple winner in the class. So you can look at that. Like I said, we're on flat handicaps. The other thing to look at is field size. So we're 16 or more runners. Who's got form in a decent field size is winning form, of course. And you're trying to compute all this different information. You've got course form here. Who's got winning course form? That can be, I would look at that kind of thing as marking up it as a positive for a horse rather than marking it down as a negative for something else, if that makes sense. That's different ways you can look at whether a horse is suited to conditions. When you're looking at the pros, you're looking at the cons, you're looking at the knowns, you're looking at the unknowns, the known unknowns, and you're trying to build that into the price, and all those different factors. That's why these races in particular with 25 odd runners are so challenging. If I look on the place, good to soft, through to soft handicaps, again, you can look at that and you might be looking for rows of all the same colour. Of course, well, ambers and greens are good. There's reds here for course form, but certainly class. Who's proven in class 2? Arecibo, I mean, he just loves placing, struggles to get his head in front. I'm going to touch on him in a minute in terms of using the race card for other things, not necessarily his chance. But you can see, you know, you can look at that win and place in class 2 handicaps, good to soft, through to soft, class 2 6 furlong, 16 runner plus, flat handicaps in all their career to date. That's the winning and place record. You can pause this here, indulge in that if you so wish. I can look at jockey and various other things, so I can use this dashboard actually for going class, course, distance, field, for jockey, trainer and sire, which adds even more information, maybe too much for the purpose of this video, so I won't do that now. And in truth, for these races, that isn't something I've never looked at as such in too much depth. But jockeys, looking at jockeys for this type of race isn't a bad thing, just because of the nature of the beast, and some jockeys will be better in these cavalry charges than others. I'm ticking around to 19 minutes, but I hope you're finding this of some use. So we've kind of looked at the race conditions, whether the horse is well handicapped, at least against their last winning mark. The instant expert you've seen there, and like I said, you can go back and pause that and do whatever you want with that. It's all great information to help you look at the puzzle and present it in a way which is as good as it gets, really, in my view. You then got the race card. Now that's the next thing. So conditions. What horse is well handicapped? That instant expert is looking at the horse against conditions. Remember, that is proven. The horse has proven against conditions. Of course, there could be a horse in here that will improve for these conditions and improve for the cavalry charge and this 6 furlongs with a bit of cut on this relatively flat track, although it is undulating in places. So you've got all those different things to consider. Pace, obviously. Now, I got this wrong at Doncaster last week. I thought high drawn horses would struggle. Oh dearie me. Now I can sort this by draw. So if I just click this draw tab here, you've got 1 through to 25, and this is as I look across the track. 1 is obviously going to be on the far side, which is on the inside rail at air because it's a left-handed course. And this is the heat map for good to soft through, well, if I can change the going again, good to soft through to soft, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's only 10 races. But good to soft through to soft, when it's testing, tends in 16 plus runner handicaps, tends to favour those who race prominently. Yeah, now that isn't always the case in these big field cavalry charges. You can get them it can be paid to kind of sit off the pace to settle and come with a run, but that depends obviously very much on pace. You had Stone of Destiny was fairly patiently ridden last time with a lot of pace at the middle in the Portland. You had Acclaim the Nation, his name, won at that decent York handicap. He made all, bit of a tailwind, he blasted out and stayed there. So that's where these heat maps can really help in GGs, and you can look at, from the historical stats, although we're only looking at 10 races or so here, where it's best to be historically against, from those 10 races and all these number of horses that have lined up in these 16 plus runner handicaps in these conditions. And you can see here, you know, these horses here where it's paid to kind of be prominent. Green is good, red is bad. That doesn't mean these horses back here can't win, of course. The middle generally hasn't been great. Low in here, being prominent, kind of low. Kinran, isn't a bad thing. So you've got, and Hay Jones, he basically made all 2 starts ago, didn't he? So he might actually be more here. So you've got all these different things to consider. Where the pace is going to be, where will it be best to sit? And they're all different things we can look at, and you can look at as I just kind of scroll slowly through. You can obviously note what you want to note about pace and different things. I can look at the graphic. So just get rid of the heat map, just so you can see where the horse, given their traditional run styles, where they will be. You've got Kinran and Hay Jonesy look like being prominent, I think Hay Jonesy will be more prominent, prominent from the kind of those drawn low. I suppose Spanish City, Lahore, Mr. Lupton will be hoping they go off quick. Barbill here, Air Raid can go forward. Staxton kind of made all, has been prominent, making all the last twice really. Major Jumbo can go forward. So there is a bit of pace in the middle, so that will bring these horses that are around them something to track. And you've got pace high actually. Certainly with Bungee Jump, I think she's a she, isn't she? She only knows one way to go. Richard Kingscote, you imagine, going to blast out. The Kevin Ryan horse here. Going to be prominent. So really, maybe it's going to be a no excuse. Are conditions and are the ground that it might be holding, drying out, tacky ground, going to favour those that just get out and race prominent? It could, based on day one, it looked pretty hard work to come from behind. That generally was on the round course, of course, but they're racing up the straight for a fair way. So there's plenty to ponder there when looking at this different pace map. You would say that, I think Hay Jonesy might try and be aggressive, so there should be pace low, pace middle and pace high. So maybe there will be a kind of no excuse from a pace position, both those that get out and those that might be kind of more prominently ridden but want cover. So that's always important to try and judge where you want to be. Now you could, in these types of races, let's say you just pick 2 horses, you might go half a point each way, or be mad and a bit silly like me and generally go on the nose, only to see them place, of course. But yeah, you might want to pick two, and it's never a bad thing just to hedge your bets, kind of go middle to low, and middle to high or whatever, or have a horse from kind of either side of the draw, or at least not have two horses that are both drawn low, or both drawn high, for example, or both in the middle. That is an option that you could consider and look at, but you know, there are all those stats that you can use as you please. If I look at the pace percentage, so how they've been doing, you can just see who's likely to be at the front, and then you can compare to the draw. So this is just another way of looking at it. Is this group going to be the place to be from this? Is the winner going to come from one of these who are going to be up there and race prominently and maybe stay there? Possibly. You can kind of throw that into the mix. I'm ticking around to 25 minutes. You've then kind of finally, I suppose, on these excellent race cards have got different other things. So you could be looking at what is the horse doing differently in this, especially in the context of this race, with horses above, a lot of them above their last winning mark, but possibly still open to improvement, but possibly having won from higher marks in the past. That's what that graph Instant Expert didn't tell us, and like I said, why you kind of may want to look at horse by horse. But you've got Kinran, for example, who's first run after a wind up. Major Jumbo this hour here is down in class. Is there anything else I can look at? Beasley's second run after a wind up. Does that mean July, August, so, you know, had a couple of months off while he had the wind up? Did he need this Haydock return? Will he come on for it? Second run after a wind up. Of interest, maybe, of consideration. I don't know where Sylvester De Souza is, because he's got two King Power horses here, but he's not here. I haven't looked at the rest of the card. Obviously, there's some good meetings on Saturday, but that's another thing. You may want to look where Sylvester De Souza is. This would be quite a nice pot to win. So he's not here on his retained ownership. So you might want to look where else he is. I haven't as yet. See what right he's got. That could be another way in and why I hope these kind of videos might be useful to give you some ideas to attack Saturday's racing. Just focus on Sylvester De Souza's ride. There's some logic there. He's not come up air for a massive payday or potential on two fairly fancied horses, and one that he won last time out on the Portland. Even I might have a look at what else SCS is riding on Saturday and which meeting. That's if he's not suspended, of course, which might be possible. I haven't looked as yet. But yeah, I'm just highlighting those things here. That's what this race card's for. First time cheek pieces for Wise Counsel. Worth noting that Danny Tudhope, this is his retained ownership, Clipper Logistics. So he would generally ride those if they have a horse in the race, as opposed to obviously his kind of stable jockey for David O'Meara. So that's why he wouldn't be on one of the O'Meara horses. I'm not going to be interested to know which one he'd have picked. Maybe Arecibo. I think he can do the weight. So I think that's a question of, it won't be weight. It'll very much be the retained ownership. First time in a handicap and trainer change, so first run for this trainer. That's the kind of information you can then look at. I mean, this trainer hasn't had many runners, 13. This will be the last couple of years, I think, and you can see those stats there. So yeah, you've got these drop-down boxes, various different other things. You've got these kind of records at the track. So C5 green means the trainer's had 25 runners at the track or more in the last 5 years, 15% plus win strike rate. So you can then kind of look at the trainer form. You can look at these stats here. You can dig into it by clicking on the trainer and looking at various different things if you're in GDs, of course. But this video is meant to be useful for all of you. And you can see their recent form. Kevin Karlberg's run has won from 28th, 3 place in the last 14 days. Some of you will put a lot of emphasis on recent trainer form, and those stats alone may be enough to put you off. 5 from 72 in the last 30 days, performing 70% below market expectations, 0.30. 1 for actual versus expected would be in line with what they should be doing. So that's not necessarily a good thing. The horses are getting sent off at a short enough price but not running up to their odds. Young Fire is up in class by 1. Gabriel the Wire's up in class. Arecibo's interesting in the sense, just to highlight, got an eye shield on for the first time. So they're putting blinkers and an eye shield on. That probably tells you about how much this horse likes placing. Bless him. He keeps running as if he's got one of these big handicaps in him this season. You can look at the horse. I wasn't sure 100%. Well, I need to look at his form in soft and whether or not he fully sees out a strongly run 6 furlongs, but that's my own subjective opinion. I haven't looked enough in depth, so you can ponder that. You've got these little angles, report angles in GG's, which is great. So you can just highlight various different things. This is highlighting his hot form. And this is another part of the puzzle you can consider. What type of races have they been running in? How have those races been working out? Have they been competitive? Have they been up against a lot of horses that have been ready to strike? And you can see from his, well, Great St Wilfrid, wasn't it, last time out. You can see here Mr. Lupton, who was third. He won in Ireland, didn't he? Able Handy since won. Dakota Gold since won. Hyper Focus. So this is turning out into a decent race, actually. Quite a few horses are running into form. You can see the level of form they achieved, and you can, build up that picture, which is what it's about. So you've got strong form there, different things you can highlight. So you can look at hot form, and I think at the races, free race cards, they have kind of a hot form element as well. There's head-to-head records, there's all sorts really, and different things you can click. So you've got all those different factors. Like I said, you can kind of pause this and look down and look at those trainers with a C5, the jockeys who are riding well, and various different things. This indicates the trainer isn't necessarily in form. Bill Makin's 0 from 27, 3 places the last 30 days. For some, that might be simply enough line through that horse. I just don't want to back horses from yards that are seemingly out of form in that sense. I would say when looking at something like that, you can look at the placed horses, you can look at the odds of the runners. Have there been signs in the last few days? Because that might actually be a reason why the horse is a bigger price than they should be. So you've got all those different things, but like I said, that's a different punting approach for different people. And the different factors you consider. Varians seemingly in okay form, certainly the last 30 days, not too bad. The last 13. Is anyone in red hot form in this? Not necessarily. I think O'Meara's have been going all right. The place percentage okay. Maybe a few more are going to start to go in. Has Tim Easterby got a runner in this? Staxon. He had 5 winners yesterday, didn't he? So 12 from 90, 21 places in the last 14 days, and superb in the last few days. So, interesting horses here. So that's a way to use this particular race card, but looking at a race card and the different things you can use. There's a profiler tool, which I'm not going to go through every horse here, but if I looked at Staxton, just because I've touched on him, you can just see their record against the different conditions, and the conditions as I have set for this race, in the different class. So this is a new addition to GG's actually, which is brilliant. I probably need to make more use of. But for the trainer, for the jockey, 3 from 7 for Darren Fenterman. You've got rest pattern in the month. All these different things. The type of track's interesting. Galloping, specific configuration, various different other things. Form on a straight track can obviously be important as well. So that's something to look through with these particular races and these types of races. So that's it really for this race card, and things that you might want to pause or look at and that might be useful in your own deliberation, hopefully. Hopefully that bit's useful. I know I'm ticking around at 33 minutes here, but hopefully you're finding it interesting. The other thing I'll say then is, of course, you can look at a puzzle like this and go, well, no thanks. No, God, that's ridiculous. Oh, I will touch on, sorry, quick. Speed ratings, which I think they use Dr. Peter Mays. I don't know how he does it as such. They're quite good over 5 furlongs in particular, but sprint distances, they may be more useful than others in saying that. Of course, now something down here is going to bolt up. But again, that's something you may want to know in terms of who on those particular sets of figures comes out well. But yes, obviously another way of looking at this race is using stats and trends. I've got my report here, which you've had for free, obviously, this yeah, that's the Silver Cup, which I've done. But the Gold Cups, there's various different stats and trends there. As always, I apply them. This post has been up since about 10 a.m, which is Saturday's post. There's loads of horses against all my other different angles and stuff. But the Gold Cup, I've listed all the horses that I've... so this is another way that you can apply with all that information, all those different ideas I've just discussed. You can look at the record of the trainers. So these are horses for trainers who have won the race previously and have runners. So yeah, we've got Fahy, Boulding, Wise Counsel was at Cox, Kevin Ryan, David O'Meara. So they're kind of winning trainers. You then got the trends pointers. So I have applied the various different stats here to see what it fires out. So my stats, looking at them, leave 10 of the last 12 winners. I've ignored Haydock, which was the 2017 renewals run at Haydock because they got abandoned. 10 from 100 runners, 26 places. That's the list of 10. It's a list of 8 if you ignore those who are drawn low. But looking at that pace map from the ground conditions I set, you know, that's questionable whether or not you just want to blanket ignore those drawn 1 to 7, because those who are stall, where's the stall stat here? Yeah, 7 or below are 0 from 76, 9 places in the last 12 years, or the last 12 Gold Cups run at Ayr. That does include, there was a dead heat a couple of years ago. But yeah, that's just information. But I wouldn't say just ignore those drawn 1 to 7. Some of you might look at those stats, look at the Ayr draw stats and go, actually, I am. Fair enough. And yeah, so then you can see the different shortlists I've got there. As with last week, actually, the winner was included on these lists somewhere and I've ignored them. So when I get to work, once I've just finished recording this video, I will look through everything and look through all the horses. I'll try and collate all these different trends. I'll put more focus, actually, which I should do, on these particular trends horses, and I'm going to personally, just for Saturdays, focus on 1 or 2 big handicaps and go to work on them. I had a brief look on Thursday. I'm going to have a proper good look Friday afternoon and scrutinise, and then come up with my own opinions by 6 p.m. on Friday, which you can agree with or dissect, and that will be it for my Saturday kind of blog tipping content, because these races do need quite a bit of studying. I don't think you can cut corners. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy attacking these kind of big handicaps, and I should actually start focusing a bit more on them. We shall see if that pays off or not over time. Winners are obviously bloody hard to find, but that's part of the fun. So that's that. So yeah, you can apply the trends. The final thing I'll use is horse race base, which I use for various different things. I will just touch this class button, which helps you look at the class. So this is all the runners, and you can just see who's won at different levels and who's proven at different levels. These are all races. So again, you can pause this video, look through those different indicators if you want. You may have already decided this race is far too complex to have a look at. Not for me. I will just crucify myself post-race, having missed an obvious one, obviously. But this is just handicaps. So, yeah, you can see the handicap starts for class 2 and 1s. You can see those that are unproven in class 2 and really competitive handicaps in terms of especially winning form. Some have a lot of placed form. So yeah, you can look at that and you might decide to either focus on certain horses whose numbers you like there, or exclude them, or whatever. I like looking at that kind of this kind of dashboard way, is kind of analysing that. I would say I've had both horse race base and GGs from when they were very, very cheap, and they're both no longer so cheap, but I would happily go with one of them. If you wanted to enhance, I think, your own puzzle solving skills. And horse race base, that's what I want to touch on. So the ratings, horse race base ratings. Now I'm not going to go into details of how they kind of compute them and pull together, mainly because I don't know all the ins and outs. It looks at a lot of recent form, class, trainer, jockey, loads of different stuff. In normal kind of flat handicaps, the top 4 kind of win 63% or so of races. In these bigger handicaps, I try and focus or make sure I've definitely looked in depth at the top kind of 10 at least, but of course you get different spreads on numbers. So in terms of how they look at the ratings, you might just look at those at 202 and higher. That's not a bad way to shortlist, and I sometimes look at those and go, well, I definitely want one on side from this group, because these numbers are reliable and they do compute lots of different things. Those near the bottom can tend to not do so well, but for the Portland, Stone of Destiny was down here. So use these ratings if you decide to pause the video and indeed use them. Use them as more of a positive and a way in to enhance the case for a certain horse, rather than, I would argue, looking at one going, oh, it's down here, that's a negative, I really liked it, but oh, I didn't like his horse race base rating, so no. Don't necessarily do that. Like with most of everything I've said, try and maybe focus on the positives and why you can enhance a horse's case. But again, we're all different, and there might be things a box a horse doesn't tick, which is why you have will happily exclude. So with that said, I think I have covered everything I want to in this video. I know it's gone on quite a while. Hopefully it gives you time to watch it this afternoon or Friday afternoon or Friday evening, and then you can use some of those thoughts in your own deliberations for this race. That's always the aim, or will be the aim of these videos. I'll be able to tell from the viewing figures if anyone's enjoyed them or not, but if you do watch it and enjoy it, either post a comment below if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're watching on the blog, do say whether or not you liked it. By all means, comment on the bits you didn't, comment on anything you would like me to do better or focus more on next time, and by all means, with these particular heritage handicaps, sprint handicaps, do post your thoughts on your process, not necessarily your tips, but the traits, the positives, negatives that you really look for, and I would be interested to know, because I think we can always learn from each other. So with that said, the final thing I will do, let's go, yeah, there you've got that internet expert you can pause and pore over. That's win and place. If I go, let's assume it dries out, let's go, it's good ground, winning form. Again, you might want to pause that and look at the different going, do what you want with that, and place, that's win and place, and there we go. So with that said, I've gone on for long enough. Hopefully something of interest there, something you'll look at, whether from a win or an each way perspective. Don't forget, like I said, you can try Gigi's Gold for £1 for a whole 30 days and get the whole suite and have access to everything I've just flicked through and a lot more, including reports, various different tools, and galore, stats and reports galore. But the race cards in particular, an instant expert, and those things I've touched on are just brilliant. And if you don't want to do that, or don't want to spend any money, but please do, I would strongly advise you to try the free registered account, which has also a link below. Like I said, that's nothing to lose. It's free. You get free access to various different tools each day. And if you like trying to find your own winners and solving the puzzle yourself, I think you'd be mad not to, but I suppose I would say that. So with that said, this is Josh saying have a great weekend. If this has helped you, great. If it helps you land on a winner of this race, even better. And do let us know if you do manage to use anything I've talked about or shown to help you solve this particular easy puzzle for Saturday. So with that said, I will shut up. Maybe next time I'll try and make this 20 minutes, but pretty hard to do. So with that said, yeah, have a great weekend. And this is Josh saying thanks for watching. Yeah, good luck with your bets. And until the next time, bye for now.